There's nothing like being the last cab off the rank, really, is there? And probably some of what I'm about to say will have been covered already, so bear with me a little. I see my input in today as to bring some grassroots to this meeting, and dairy and the business of it. We're not experts. We're not experts in broadband, internet, cell phone. However, I look around the room and I see that many of you are. What we do know, though, is that we're a consumer. And what dairy knows is that as a consumer, we're your market. And they, or we, will drive, to a degree, what you need to do. I see us as a niche market, not a commodity. However, I think there are a lot out in the rural community that actually feel like a commodity. When I was given the brief about today, two things jumped off the page. First one was, what is the difference improved connectivity has made to those who live and work in rural New Zealand? And the fact that today is to be packed with full and frank conversations. I'm going to start by being frank and saying that the perceived level of improvement in connectivity is held by this room, and it's not mirrored in rural New Zealand. I've got a few supporters, obviously. With a membership of just shy of 10,000 for Dairy Women's Network, who all are living this rural connectivity reality, it was important for me to be able to endeavour to bring here a cross-section from them directly. We have 90 regional leaders who are volunteers across the country, from Kaitaia to Bluff and scattered everywhere in between. And this is where Dairy Women's Network's connectivity kicks off, becomes real. Social media. I post on our regional leaders page, and you have responses coming in almost instantly to 3 questions that we posted. Are you happy enough with your internet and your cell phone coverage? Do you use cell phones, apps, as on-farm tools? And does your internet speed challenge your business? The answers I got will not be music to your ears, I'm afraid. If you were planning on hearing how wonderful it all is out there in rural New Zealand, to be fair, I don't know how challenging it was 3 years ago. However, it was apparent there is much work still to be done. Responses were not all one-sided. I will say that I did hear some positive reviews, which is great, that it wasn't just those who felt overlooked, challenged and limited in their business decisions in this now technologically based era and work and life that we experience. I would add, though, by the resoundingly obvious answers to the questions, that I hit a raw nerve. The feedback from question 1 about internet and cell phone coverage was resoundingly no, 78% of them. There were a few yeses, and they were from areas that were a stone throw from our urban friends, and or were able to activate at an extremely high level of financial input on a monthly basis to actually get good coverage. Many still don't even actually have the choice, even if they had the financial availability. Number 2, do you use cell phones and apps as farm tools? 85% of them said yes. And those that said no all stated, well, when you've got no cell phone coverage, how can you? Question 3, does your internet speed challenge your business? 75% again said yes. So let's picture the year-end financial returns for the New Zealand economy. It has accumulated deposits from one entity to the value of $17 billion. Need I actually spell out who? It was dairy, New Zealand's largest export earner. What do we need? Somebody actually mentioned the word just before, and it is, we need real-time access to data and mobile connectivity. When do we need it? We actually need it now. And where do we need it? Everywhere. Why? Simply because unless you live under a rock, you would be forgiven unless that for not knowing that the agri sector, and in particular dairy, is touted via media in its many forms as one of the major creators of all things environmentally wrong. And this is only one of the areas where we see that connectivity in all its forms will need to play a part in supporting my sector to grapple with the change that is hitting dairy at a pace that has not been experienced before. On-farm best practice and compliance. This is an industry that is actually hungry for data. Whether that's captivating it via, I think LIC is here today, so they will say, you've got live space coming at us, ProTrack, regional council requirements with telemetry, irrigation and water monitoring, GPSing, farm mapping, fertiliser applications, Fonterra Farm Source data downloads on a daily application. And then we've got the apps that we could use, Mind Alive, My Balance, PaySource with timesheets and compliance yet again, and I'm really just touching the surface. These are all key aspects to dairy not only surviving but thriving into a future, and it needs to be connected now. In the shed, on the farm, in the tractor. Not later, not when you're home, not while the jug boils, not down the road, not when you're in town, not when dial-up is not over-dialed or tired. Time is money, and these people are busy. They don't have time to wait. DWN stands behind face-to-face being the ultimate connection. However, in our busy lives with time of the essence, education can and will need to be webinars, online forums for learning and industry updates, live streaming, video conferencing, Zoom, Skype. Fabulous, absolutely fabulous. But are you dreaming? Unless you pay, and even then you can be left wanting. As we've come to know, Google can solve all manner of unknown things, information on the new and the innovative, science, data and research, knowledge at your fingertips. That's a debatable fact. Dairy in New Zealand is also much more than a business. It's people. It's their communities. Did you know that staff attraction and retention can be challenged by internet access? Increasingly, this industry is relying on migrant labour. For them, the only means of keeping in touch with your families is the internet. But it's not only them. Many of us who have families all around New Zealand, around the world, data brings them home. It brings them into view. It allows you to almost touch them. Data and mobile phones have become fundamental in reducing the isolation of rural living and giving people a sense of belonging. Dairy Women's Network national and regional Facebook pages, community Facebook pages, these are links and connections to social events, the meet and greets, the quiz nights, the badminton at the hall, neighbourhood watch, buy, sell, events at school, play centre. They're lifelines into these communities, and woe be told if we could actually see the World Cup. With the mention of life comes a segue on which to finish, health and safety. Whether it's an app, contact with a lone worker, a form of communication, farm teams, they rock around, the WhatsApps, the Snapchats, the messenger groups. They're all valuable tools with which to keep our people in touch and keep them safe. You log in where you're off to, and you log in when you're back. This gives us a health and safety culture that is alive. Dairy is being asked to front many, many challenges. There is capital investment required. What dairy asks no more than what others ask of them. Step up.